price is way too high.
She was the biggest female star Nashville ever built. And in 1991, the government auctioned her gowns and her gold records on a folding table in a parking lot. 2 months later, her car broke down on the way to the Grand Ole Opry. She never made it to the stage. Welcome to Nashville Rewind, where we dig up the country records that were too honest for the radio, and the women who paid for singing them.
First time I met you.
Because for 40 years, Nashville had a very specific way of handling a woman who told the truth. They let her have one hit, and then they made sure she never had another. Number 10, Kitty Wells. It wasn't God who made Honky Tonk Angels. 1952.
It wasn't God.
She was 33 years old, and she was done. 2 labels had already dropped her. She was raising 3 children in a small house in Nashville and had told her husband she was finished with music for good. Then a producer offered her $125 to sing a song she didn't even like, an answer record to Hank Thompson's The Wild Side of Life, which had blamed women for every ruined marriage in America. Kitty took the money because they needed the money. She sang it in a single session, in a flat, plain, church pew voice, and what came out was the first time a woman on a country record ever pointed back at the man. Here's what almost nobody knows. NBC banned it outright from network radio. The Grand Ole Opry, the Church of Country Music, allowed her onto the stage but forbade her from singing the song that made her famous. She stood in that circle and sang something else, while the audience waited for the record they'd come to hear. It went to number 1 anyway, and every woman on this list is standing on it. Number 9, Jean Shepard, 2 Whoops and a Holler, 1955. She grew up so poor in Oklahoma that the family picked cotton in California to eat. At 19, she had a number 1 record, a Dear John letter, with Ferlin Husky, and a problem. She was too young to legally cross state lines to tour with a grown man, so Ferlin Husky legally adopted her. A chart-topping recording artist became, on paper, another man's child so she could go to work. Then she recorded 2 Whoops and a Holler, and it was pure gasoline. A woman looking straight at the double standard and saying a man can run wild and be a good old boy, and a woman does it once and she's finished forever. Radio programmers in 1955 did not know what to do with that voice, so they called her difficult. They called her hard. They gave the tours and the television spots to the sweet ones. And in March of 1963, her husband Hawkshaw Hawkins boarded a small plane in Kansas City with Patsy Cline. Jean was pregnant. Her son was born weeks after she buried his father. She never left. She stood on the Opry stage for 60 years. The woman they said was too sharp, but she was never given the crown, and she knew exactly who took it. Number 8, Norma Jean, Let's Go All the Way, 1964. She was the girl on the Porter Wagoner Show, beamed into millions of American living rooms every single week, and in 1964, she cut a record with a title that made preachers sit up. Let's Go All the Way was a woman saying out loud that she wanted something, and she wanted it now. It became the biggest hit of her life, but her contract was her cage. She was Porter's girl singer, and the arithmetic of that job never favored her. In 1967, she chose to step back to raise her daughter, and Porter hired a 21-year-old blonde from East Tennessee to take her place.
The first time I met you.
Here's the part that still aches. The audiences rejected the new girl. Night after night, crowds chanted, "We want Norma Jean," while Dolly Parton stood there and took it.
Oh, I knew that I'd be
Dolly has told that story for 50 years, with nothing but respect in her voice. She knew whose chair she was sitting in.
true. Won't you name our wedding?
Norma Jean's marriage collapsed. The hit stopped almost immediately. And the woman who once had America's biggest weekly country audience spent decades playing rooms where nobody remembered she'd been the reason people tuned in at all.
And let's go all the way.
She never got bitter about it in public, which somehow makes it worse. Number 7, Wanda Jackson, Fujiyama Mama, 1957. Elvis Presley personally told her to sing rock and roll. He gave her his ring. She was 19, and she had a growl in her throat that no woman in America was supposed to have, and she used it on a song so incendiary that it referenced the atomic bombing of Japan. American radio wouldn't touch it, not because it was violent, because a woman was singing it. Programmers told her flatly to go back to country music where she belonged, so the record died at home. And then it went to number 1 in Japan, where they understood exactly what she was doing, and she toured there like a returning queen, while her own country pretended she didn't exist. The detail that tells you everything. When she played the Grand Ole Opry in a dress her mother had sewn, spaghetti straps, fringe, a little shoulder showing, the management stopped her before she went on. Ernest Tubb had to hand her his suit jacket to cover herself up. That was the welcome. Let's Have a Party only became a hit 3 years after it was recorded, because one disc jockey in Iowa pulled an old album track and played it on his own. That's how close she came to disappearing entirely. They tamed her. They put her in dresses and sad ballads. And it took until she was in her 70s for the world to admit what it had thrown away. Number 6, Loretta Lynn, The Pill, 1975.
What's that you say? You're bringing a few old army buddies home?
She recorded it in 1972, and her own record label was so frightened of it that they locked it in a vault for 3 years. 3 years.
You're calling from a bar? Get away from there. No, not you.
A song by the biggest female star in country music, shelved because a coal miner's daughter had written a comedy about birth control, about a woman who'd spent her whole marriage barefoot and pregnant, deciding that the incubator was closing for business.
New York City, they all march for.
When MCA finally released it, more than 60 radio stations banned it outright. Preachers denounced it from pulpits, and it became the biggest crossover pop record of her entire career, because the ban was the advertisement.
Homes and gardens shows a modern.
Here's the fact that should be carved somewhere. Rural doctors, actual physicians in Appalachia and the rural South, wrote to Loretta to tell her that her 3-minute song had done more to explain contraception to poor women than every pamphlet they'd ever handed out.
The pill may change your world tomorrow, but me.
Women who could not read a leaflet could hear a record. She'd been married at 15 and had 4 children before most girls have graduated.
Here in Topeka, the flies are buzzing. The dog is.
She wasn't theorizing, she was reporting. Loretta survived it because Loretta survived everything, but the song was silenced. And the women coming up behind her watched exactly how fast Nashville moved to bury a record it couldn't control.
The barking and the floor needs a scrubbing. One needs.
If any of this is landing on you, that's the whole reason Nashville Rewind exists. These women didn't get documentaries. They didn't get induction speeches. Most of them died with their best work out of print.
Needs a spanking and one needs a hugging, Lord. Four's on.
So if you believe the ones who got erased deserve to be remembered out loud, subscribe. It costs you nothing, and it keeps these names in circulation for another generation. Because the next 5 stories are the ones that don't have happy endings. Number 5, Bobbie Gentry, Fancy, 1969.
A bit of perfume on my neck and
then she kissed my cheek.
In 1967, a 25-year-old woman from a Mississippi farm with no electricity walked into Capitol Records with a song about a suicide off the Tallahatchie Bridge and knocked the Beatles off the top of the charts.
Saw the tears well up in her troubled eyes when she started.
Then she did something no woman in Nashville was permitted to do. She arranged her own records. She wrote her own charts. She built her own Las Vegas review from the ground up.
She looked at a pitiful shack and then she looked at me and took a rag.
The staging, the costumes, the choreography, the lighting, every dollar of it. And the production credit went to a man at the label.
Breath, your paws run off and I'm real.
Fancy was her manifesto. A mother in a shack sells her daughter's only asset because it's that or starvation.
It's gonna starve to death. She handed me a heart-shaped like a...
And the girl claws her way up and refuses to apologize for a single thing she did to survive. Bobbie called it her strongest statement for women's liberation.
They said to thine own self be true.
And she meant it as an argument, not a scandal. Then, around 1981, she simply stopped. No farewell tour, no final interview, no statement.
Shivered as a watched roach crawl across the toe of my hat.
She walked out of public life and has not given an interview in over 40 years. She is alive. She has said nothing.
You shoot. It sounded like somebody else that was talking.
Everyone assumes she was destroyed. There's another reading. She looked at an industry that would never give her the credit and decided it could not have her at all.
I can ask your mama, what do I do?
Number 4, Jeannie Seely, Don't Touch Me, 1966.
If I can come in.
She was a bank secretary in California who moved to Nashville with a suitcase and a demo.
Don't touch me if you don't love me.
And in 1966, she recorded a song of such naked, aching sexual longing that it won her a Grammy at 26.
Your kiss is like a drink.
A woman saying, "Don't put your hands on me unless you mean it, because I will not survive being touched by someone who's leaving."
Oh, and I'm thirsty.
And then she committed the actual crime. She walked onto the Grand Ole Opry stage in a miniskirt. The hate mail came by the sack.
Oh, my heart.
Opry management confronted her. Newspapers ran outraged columns about the state of country music. She was 26 years old, and the sin was hemline.
Then act as though we've never.
She refused to change it, and she paid for that refusal in bookings and airplay for years, while every woman who came after her wore whatever she wanted and never had to explain why.
Don't touch me if you don't love me.
She became the first woman allowed to regularly host segments of the Opry, an honor that had been reserved for men for half a century.
Sweetheart.
In 1977, a car accident nearly killed her. In 2010, the Nashville flood took her home, and everything in it, the photographs, the awards, the letters, an entire life underwater.
Give me something.
She rebuilt it all, again, and she still walks out on that stage. But listen to Don't Touch Me tonight, and ask yourself how a voice that honest ever got reduced to an argument about a skirt.
That you might.
Number 3, Jeannie C. Riley, Harper Valley PTA, 1968.
Who had a teenage daughter who attended Harper Valley.
She was a secretary in a Nashville publishing office, making almost nothing, cutting demo records after hours for anybody who'd have her. Then Tom T. Hall's song landed in her hands.
Well, her daughter came home one afternoon and didn't even stop to play.
A widowed mother in a miniskirt who walks into a school board meeting and reads out, one by one, the sins of every respectable man and woman in the room.
And she said, Mama got a note here from the Harper Valley PT.
It sold more than 5 million copies. It made her the first woman in history to hit number 1 on both the pop chart and the country chart with the same record.
Well, the note said, Mrs. Johnson, you're wearing your dresses.
Grammy Country Music Association Award. From typing pool to global superstar in a matter of weeks.
It's reported you've been drinking and running round with me.
And then Nashville did the thing Nashville does. They put her in the miniskirt. They put her in the go-go boots. They made her live inside that character every night for years.
And we don't believe you ought to be bringing up your little girl.
Because the costume sold tickets, and nobody asked the woman inside it what she thought.
It happened that the PTA was gonna meet that very afternoon.
She thought this. She was singing, night after night, about a woman she couldn't respect. Those are close to her own words. A devout girl from Anson, Texas, made a living for a decade playing someone she found embarrassing.
And they were sure surprised when Mrs. Johnson wore her miniskirt.
In 1972, she became a born-again Christian and refused to perform it that way ever again. The bookings evaporated. She chose her soul over her career. That's the whole trade Nashville offered women. Now watch what happens to the one who took the other side of it.
Recall the words she had to say.
Number 2, Sammy Smith, Help Me Make It Through the Night.
Till the early morning light.
1971. Other artists were offered that Christofferson song and turned it down. Too suggestive. A woman inviting a man into her bed for one night with no promises and no shame.
All I'm taking is your time.
Nobody wanted their name on it. Sammy Smith took it and she sang it slow and low, like someone talking to you across a dark room.
Help me make it through the night.
Some stations refused to play it. It sold over 2 million copies anyway and won her a Grammy, and it has been recorded by hundreds of artists since.
I don't care what's right or wrong.
She was one of exactly 2 or 3 women the outlaw movement ever really let inside. A woman who wore what she wanted, went where she wanted, and answered to nobody in a business built on women answering.
And I won't try to understand.
Here's what almost no one knows. She had a son named after Waylon Jennings. She could not raise him herself, and he was brought up by relatives.
Let the devil take tomorrow.
He grew up to be an actor and songwriter named Waylon Payne, and in 2005 he appeared in a film about Jerry Lee Lewis and Johnny Cash, the exact world his mother had been shut out of.
Lord, tonight I need a friend.
She left Nashville for the Southwest, spent years and money she didn't have on Native American children and schools, and died in Oklahoma City in 2005 at 61, sick, broke, and almost entirely forgotten.
And yesterday is dead and gone.
The most covered song of a generation, and its original singer died in a rented room.
And tomorrow's out of sight.
Number 1, Dottie West. Her father was a violent alcoholic. At 17, she testified against him in open court for what he had done to her, and he was sentenced to 40 years.
I love you, please believe me. I wouldn't want you to.
Then she put herself through Tennessee Tech, earned a degree in music, and walked into Nashville in the early 60s when the answer to a woman with ambition was still no.
I was raised on country sunshine. I'm happy.
She wrote her own hits. In 1965, she became the first woman ever to win a Grammy in a country category. She wrote Country Sunshine and became the first country artist in history to win an Advertising Clio Award.
A bottle of Coke and the joy that the bluebird brings.
She gave Larry Gatlin his start. Steve Wariner played bass in her band. When Nashville decided she was too old at 40, she came back at 45 in leather with Kenny Rogers and outsold everyone.
But I was raised on country sunshine.
And then it collapsed. Taxes, debt, bankruptcy. In 1991, the government auctioned her possessions, her gowns, her furniture, her gold records, while people who'd grown up on her music stood there and bid.
Now I love you, please believe me.
On the 30th of August, 1991, her car broke down on the way to the Grand Ole Opry. Her 81-year-old neighbor offered to drive her so she wouldn't miss the show.
And wouldn't want you to ever leave me.
He lost control at the Opryland exit ramp. Dottie West died 5 days later. She was 58.
I
She had nothing left but the gig, and she died trying to get to it. Every woman on this list was told the same thing in 100 different ways. Sing it sweet, keep it short, and don't ever make us uncomfortable twice.
Yes, I love you, please believe me.
They did it once anyway. Go find these records tonight. Play them loud. That's the only monument some of them ever got.